I've not really seen the tomato as much as I would like to, but it's okay though. I just know it's gonna taste good when I'm finished, cause at the end of the day, I made it. So like me personally, I'm a saucy type of nigga, so I like my food to be as smooth as me. You feel me? It was actually very cool and refreshing. So if that's how you prefer yours, whatever I did in the video, keep doing it.
While they fighting over crumbs, I'm on the interstate. Run the circle, we a small.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy LJTV. You already know me in the kitchen with shit without the Z. Okay, as you may know from the title of this video, we're doing something completely different today. You know, I'm usually known for the vlogs and stuff like that, but I had a project for school and it required me to create a very widely known dish in Mexican culture known as guacamole. So I thought it would just be a fun way for me to stay consistent on my channel, actually post a lot more. So yeah, as you may know, I have all the ingredients here. Ingredients include guacamoles, of course, the foundation of the dish, jalapenos, cilantro, lime, red onion, tomatoes, and what it is most commonly eaten with, which is tortilla chips. So when it comes to this dish, not a lot of people know like how it came about. And so I just want to give you guys a little history lesson. So unfortunately, it was created by the Aztecs, but the reason why I say unfortunately is because that's not the guacamole we know today. When the Aztecs created it, all they did was avocados and a mixture of spices. That's all they did. But during the time of colonization, the French came and they colonized the Aztec Empire, which is now modern day Mexico. And after they did that, they liked the dish that they sold, and then they brought it with them to different cultures and places like that. So that's where we get all the extra ingredients that we have today, such as the tomato, the cilantro, the jalapenos, the onions, and other stuff like that. A lot of people actually add garlic, but I don't really like that because this is my first time actually making guacamole myself. So this is really a learning experience for me, for myself, and for you guys watching as well. So the most important part of actually making this is to make sure that everything is clean. So as you may see now, I'm going to be washing everything, and I'm going to be washing my hands, of course, washing the plates, washing the knife, washing the cutting board, making sure everything is sanitized and ready to go. So I'll come back when that is all finished and done. Okay, I'm back. So when it comes to preparing the guacamole, there's very key ingredients that we need, such as like I said, the core ingredient, the avocado, the tomato, the onion, the jalapeno, the lemon for flavor, and also cilantro. The reason why I'm cutting up the cilantro first is because it's the most tedious, but usually the avocados will be the first to be cut. But due to the fact that cilantro needs to be dried first, I don't want it to cut everything else and then have the cilantro on a wet board. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wash the cilantro. This is very important just to make sure everything is clean and everything goes together and everything is like well prepared. So after you wash the cilantro, what you want to do is you want to get a paper towel and then just pat it down, pat it dry. Pat it dry. After you pat it dry, there's a really specific way that you need to cut it, which is you need to put it together and fold the top onto itself. Once you do that, you're gonna get your knife. You're gonna just keep cutting it in very thin and very thin. This knife is not sharp enough. Let me get a different knife. Alright, so like I was saying, you have to cut it in very thin layers, all the way down until it's just stem. Once you get all the way down to the stem, then you can throw away the stem because we don't really need the stem. So this is what you need. You just need the leaves. So once you get that, you can get a separate plate and put it on a separate plate. Now, moving on to the jalapenos. I'm very really what's the word I'm looking for? I'm very really interested in spice. Like I like spicy food. So when I do cut the jalapenos, I'm just gonna cut it with the stem, with the seeds and everything. If you not somebody like me that likes spicy food, I do not suggest you cut the jalapenos with the stem. What you can do is you could cut it in half and scoop out the inside so that you could just cut the skin of the jalapenos. That way you could get the flavor without actually getting the spice added to it. So I'm just gonna keep cutting this. I'm using 2 jalapenos just so it could actually be very spicy because like I said, I like spice. So I'm just gonna keep cutting it. Now it's time for the second jalapeno. I'm just throwing everything in a sink as of right now so that I can just pack everything up at once and throw it away when I'm actually finished what I'm doing. Everything is diced up, so I'm just gonna add it to another saucer all by itself. Okay. Now it's time for one of the most important ingredients, which is the onions. I'm using red onions because it's small. I don't want the onions to overpower the flavor of everything else. So I'm just gonna cut this in half. So when you cut in the onions, it's very important that you dice the onions. I'm gonna show you guys exactly how to dice onions. Just give me 1 second to get the skin off. And then, alright, so when you cut in onions, how you dice them is, I'm gonna cut it in half just so it's a little bit easier. So once you cut it in half, what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut it down, but you're not gonna cut all the way through the onion. Just gonna cut it down like halfway, right? Cut it down halfway, and then you're gonna turn it at like a 90-degree angle. And then once you do that, you're gonna just cut halfway again at a separate angle. So basically, you're just making little squares. So now you're gonna turn it on its. Now you're just gonna cut it horizontally. Alright, so I just diced up half of the onions, so I'm just gonna show you guys how to dice up the other half. Like I said, you're gonna cut it, but not all the way through. It's kind of hard to do it with this onion because it's a lot smaller than what I'm used to. So I'm just gonna cut it regular because I'm not about to do it with that. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm just gonna cut it minuscule. So now that I'm finished with the onions, now it's time. I actually was gonna do the tomatoes first, but let me just cut the lemon in half because what we're gonna do with the lemon is we're gonna use the juice. We're gonna use the juice of the lemon to just to make sure that everything is flavored right. We're just gonna squeeze the juice on top of the avocados after we do get to that section of the video. So now, like I was saying, it's time for the avocado, not the avocados, the tomatoes. So now, the tomatoes should be a lot easier to dice due to the fact that it's a lot larger. So I'm just gonna put that to the test. And if it starts giving me trouble, honestly, I'm just gonna cut it up regularly because I don't really have the patience for that. See, it's going a lot smoother than the onion did. So I'm just gonna finish dicing up the rest of the tomatoes. It should be going a lot smoother, but the knife isn't really that sharp. That's why it's taking me so much longer to actually cut everything. Okay, now it's actually time for the core ingredients of this dish, which, like I said earlier, is the avocados. So there's a lot of many different preferred ways to actually cut avocados, but the way how I like to cut them is I like to that's exactly how you do it so that you don't cut yourself. What I like to do is I like to let me just cut off the where the stem was. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut down the middle. It's basically like scoring, but it's just that you just do it from the inside, and then after you do that, you could just gonna take a spoon and then scoop it out into the then scoop it out into the bowl that you're using. So after you do that, you just and that's easy. Now the other way that I was referring to is that a lot of people they like to cut it in half and then just peel it off, which is also simple also, but it's just a lot more time consuming because then you would have to cut it. You would have to still cut it, and then when you do cut it, you have to cut it diagonally. So just have the aesthetic effect, the aesthetic appeal. But at the end of the day, you would still would have to cut it for you to be able to put it in the bowl. So I feel like the first way that I just showed you guys would be a lot easier. It's up to you whichever way you want to do it also. Because at the end of the day, everything is all about preference. So some people might like this way completely differently than the previous way that I mentioned. So I just want to make sure that you guys have everything available to you so that you could choose how you want to create it. Okay, now that everything is cut up and actually prepared, I was just going to show you guys in a quick second what everything looks like. What I'm going to do now is I have to mash the guacamole into the preferred consistency of what I want it to be. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your fork, is gonna basically crush it. Just basically crush it. Make sure that nothing falls out. Like, see, I'm being a little untidy. Actually, let me get a bigger bowl. I'm sure you guys can see, but I'm basically just spin it and then just crushing it as I spin. So once it gets to like a more like a paste type consistency, you can start getting a little creative. You can start twirling it. You can start spinning it. You could just start just having fun. Because at the end of the day, it's all preferred. It's all like how you prefer. The consistency, I mean, is how you prefer or how you like it to be. So like me personally, I'm a saucy type of nigga, so I like my food to be as smooth as me. You feel me? I'm super in that now. So now you can just start mixing it. Start mixing it. Okay, so now is what we're gonna do is the first thing we're gonna add is the lemon juice. So we're just gonna squeeze the lemon juice all over. This is gonna give it that little zesty flavor so that it's not dry. Squeeze a little lemon juice. Now all of this is just based on your preference. Hold on, let me get this seed out. All this is based on your preference. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna mix around the lemon juice, and then after I mix around the lemon juice, I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper, and then just give it a little taste test to see if it's like it needs a little bit more flavor before I add in everything else. Like I said, this is actually my first time making it, so I'm not entirely sure how much salt and black pepper I should add. So I'm just being a little bit careful here. All my Mexican in the comments, let me know if I added too much or too little. I'm just gonna mix it. You know what I should get? I should get a whisk. Nah, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Alright, so now let's give it a little taste test. Okay, it tastes good so far. I'm gonna just add in some more lemon juice. I gotta take out all the seeds. Alright, so now that everything, all the spices is added, and now it's at the smooth consistency and texture that, like I said earlier, I like. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna add everything to it. So first we're gonna go into the jalapenos. Just make sure everything is spread out evenly so that there's not some without and some with. I'm gonna mix it. Then we're gonna add in some more. Okay, now let's add the onions. I still haven't cried after cutting the onions. Like, I don't know how some people say that they cry. Like, I've never cried. So now we're gonna add the parsley. As you can see, I'm now adding the tomatoes. I feel like this should give it a lot more vibrant color, just to, give it some pop so that's not green all around. Oh, I feel like I should have made more tomatoes. Like, I've not really seen the tomato as much as I would like to. But it's okay though. I just know it's gonna taste good when I'm finished. Cause at the end of the day, I made it. Okay. So now that everything is well mixed, I'm going to clean up the area and then plate it with the tortilla chips and come back and show you guys what the final product look like. So with that being said, I'll be right back. Okay, so I made sure I cleaned up the area, made sure all the plates were washed, everything I needed to dispose of was disposed of. I'm talking about garbage, extra skin, there's anything that I didn't use. So I like to actually show you guys the final product and how I plated the guacamole with the tocino chips. Because like I said earlier, I would be using that because that's like what I'm most familiar with. So I would just like to show you guys how it came out. I can't really show you exactly what I did with the plating because I don't want everything to fall out. So I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some pictures, put it at the end. So this is how I plated it, how it came out. I did end up adding some extra Larry seasoning so at the end just for because I like it to be a little bit more salty. It was actually very cool and refreshing. So if that's how you prefer yours, whatever I did in the video, keep doing it. But with that being said, though, I would just like to leave y'all by saying, así es, damas y caballeros, come se hace el guacamole. Thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye. Have a great time.